American General Pictures imprisons you in a bloody web of terror. Spider Baby has the seductive innocence of Lolita and the savage hunger of a black widow. Spider Baby will give you nightmares forever. No man that loves her lives to love another. Her sweet kisses engulf you in a bloody web of horror. Spider Baby will thrill you, then kill you. Starring Spider Baby and Lon Chaney. For the horror thrill of your life, see Spider Baby from American General Pictures.
Hey, what's going on, fellow dissectors? Welcome to episode 5 of Celluloid Dissections podcast. As usual, I'm your host with the most, Derek, and I have my lovely, and also beautiful, fuck the haters, co-host with me, Carly. What's going on, Carly?
Geez, I'm flattered. That was quite a lot of lovelies. Not too much, just been watching some movies. Been watching a lot of movies here in October. Pretty much have watched something every day, so that's been fun. And hitting up some haunted houses and all that type of spooky stuff lately. And it's been a pretty fun time. What have you been up to?
Work.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. It's weird because it depends on me. Some years it's a better Halloween season than others.
Yeah.
And I've just been watching movies and doing the 31 Days of Horror challenge as usual. I'm pretty happy that I got as far as I did because today I'm like, do I really want to record a video today?
Yep, I was telling you that's kind of my issue. I can watch 31 plus movies easily around this time of year. It's just making a video is painful sometimes when especially when you're tired after work or you just don't feel like being presentable and you just do not want to turn on the camera and make a video. But yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, especially now my hair is all wild. It's like Jack Nicholson wild now.
I was actually going to comment as your latest video. I was like, whoa, your hair is longer than I've ever seen it in my life.
Yeah, I got to get a haircut. I'm going this Friday. So
nice.
Yeah, so it'll be nice and clean.
Nice.
Yeah, I just don't have the time sometimes because I work the night shift, so no one really sees your hair anyways, besides the videos.
Yeah, I'm really lazy about getting haircuts, but that's the glory of being a girl. You can kind of get away with letting it get super long, but I need to get it trimmed here soon too.
Yeah, you just got your hair dyed. I saw in your latest pictures.
Yeah, which is pretty much almost faded already, but I do want to kind of keep up with the black look because I prefer it over my natural color. It's just a pain having to dye it all the time, and then it gets all damaged, and it's a struggle. But like to change it up.
It makes you look like freaking Virginia in the movie we're about to talk about.
Hey! Yeah. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, have you been having fun with your 31 days so far?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a million times, I kind of pre-recorded pretty much all of them, and at this point, for the actual 31 days, presently in October, I've been watching stuff that I didn't make videos of, and I was trying to go along with the challenge and 22 shots and comment on there every day, but I kind of fell off on day 16, even though I did watch enough movies. I just kind of gave up on writing out reviews because, I kind of got lazy with writing reviews, but I've been having fun watching movies right now, just random stuff that either on streaming or just stuff that I still have in my collection that I hadn't gotten to, or just whatever the heck I want. So it's been a fun little mix-up, I would say.
Yeah, look on the bright side. At least you beat JP again.
Yeah, I asked him, dude, because he told me he messed up on day 16 because he forgot to, take it off private, and I was like, well, dude, I saw that you gave up completely after that. What do you do? And he was like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it anymore. And I'm like, I guess once you mess up, you kind of, you're like, screw it. But yeah, that's the glory of me of pre-recording my videos. I know I won't fail at that, but I did fail with the challenge in 22 shots. So yeah,
Yeah,
what can you do?
It's whatever. I gave up on Letterbox again as usual.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's like watching the movies is fun and games, but actually making reviews is where you just don't really feel like doing it.
yeah, I just don't like. Why do I have to log this? I've seen this movie 400 times.
Hmm.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm sure most people know by now, like what your opinions are.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just like, it's like whatever. I don't like I'll use it for listening shit, but I'm not gonna log every fucking movie I watch in there anymore. It's just fucking too tedious, and I end up looking at other reviews and missing half the movie.
Yeah, and then next year, I always say next year I'm not gonna worry about any type of challenge, but then I end up doing it anyway. I fall under the peer pressure.
Yeah, especially when you get through like Don and Ellie's reviews, you're like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could read those for fucking hours and be like, still don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't recommend reading for hours.
Yeah, it's whatever, but
Yeah.
it's been fun. Yeah, you said you went to a haunt.
Yeah, I've actually I've went to 3, I guess, technically this year. I went to Fright Night, Kennywood's Fright Night twice, which honestly they have fallen off completely. It's unfortunate. I've been going there since I was 13, and it's just like not the same anymore. They don't get enough actors. They don't change anything up. It's all kind of about money there. I went earlier in the year, and it was nice because it was the first weekend, and it was a Friday night, and there was barely anyone there. So we had a good time. We got to go through. They do like 6 haunted houses there, which is nice. But like I said, they don't really change it up. But it was still fun. I went again the other night, and it was freezing cold and very crowded. So that wasn't very fun. I also went to it's called Rich's Fright Farm around here. I don't know if anyone who knows about PA probably has heard about some of these, or at least the Pittsburgh area, but that's a pretty popular one. I went there at the beginning of the year as well. They do a hayride that takes you out to a house, a haunted house thingy, and it's really big and really nice. Like there's like stairs in the house and everything, and it takes a long time to go through. So that one was pretty good. And I also went to 100 Acre Manor, which is probably the more popular one around these parts. A lot of people know about that one. That one was also really good, but we got there at like 8 p.m. and we did not get to go through it until midnight. That's how long the line was. And that was horrible because, once again, it became freezing cold. It was like 40 degrees by the time we got to go through. And at that point, I kind of didn't even want to be there anymore. I just wanted to get the heck into something warm. But the house itself is pretty cool. Would I say it's worth waiting 4 hours? I would say no. I don't think anything really is. But overall, I'm happy that I've been getting out there and going to these haunts because I don't really get to do that. That's not something I do a lot, honestly. You would think I would do that more. But last few years, there's been a lot of movie-type events going on that JP and I had been going to, but there really wasn't a lot of that, unfortunately, this season. And when I was in high school, I did a lot of extracurricular stuff on the weekend, so I never really got to go to a lot of haunted houses or hay rides or anything. So finally doing that, and it's been fun, at least.
Nice. Yeah, I don't like. I had to actually research where those are in my area. And I just get too lazy to do that. And,
Yeah.
but plus, most of my friends are either grown up or moved away or
Yeah.
not around anymore. Let's just say that. So it's kind of not fun anymore when you have no one to go with.
Oh yeah, I mean, believe me, I'm only 22 and I'm talking about these, but I literally had one friend that I was pretty much going to all these to, with the exception of Fright Night the first time. I had a pretty solid group, but my friend Kaylee, she is an old high school friend, one of the closer high school friends that I still have to this day. I really don't talk to many people from high school anymore, but her and I, like every weekend, we keep saying we got to get a whole huge group together and go, and then everyone's busy, so I'm like, guess it's just you and me again, which, I'm fine with that, but it is what it is. Friends, they become super busy and they go on their own journeys and all that, but as long as you have like one person, I'm good.
Yeah, just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real. I know, like, there's a haunt in, like, PA somewhere. It's actually where they actually filmed Hell House LLC, the actual house.
Oh, really? See, I'm not familiar. I wonder if it's near my area or if it's
Uh,
more on the
because
other area.
I heard it on a podcast recently that somebody went there. I had to re-listen to it.
Hmm.
I think it was actually Who Will Survive. I think it was the guest host on the latest one. I know yours is probably coming out this week.
Yes, actually, he mentioned today or last night that it should be out here soon. So that was a lot of fun to record. So I'm excited for when that airs. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that those movies. I only saw part two of the Hell House films on Shudder. I don't know why I didn't watch part one. That's just kind of. I was like, I think I didn't realize it was a part two when I put it on because the part two come out like last year or the year before or something. I was trying to get watches in for my end of the year list and I just watched it. So
Yeah.
can't say I'm too familiar with those films, but that's pretty interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I actually really like the first one. The first one's probably my favorite out of those. I still have to watch the third one.
Hmm. Yeah, I do want to watch all three of them because part two was interesting, at least.
Yeah, were you confused at all? You're like, wait, what the hell is going
Yeah,
on?
I was. That's why I'm like, it was interesting, but I
Yeah,
don't really.
they're very connected.
Okay. Yeah, that was stupid of me. I was like, I'll just put this. I've been doing that a lot where I just watch sequels to stuff, and
I
then
know, I like Escape from New LA,
like my entire 31 days of horror challenge, pretty much.
and
That's.
the only one you watched in sequence was Lawnmower Man 1 and 2.
I know it's only because I had that little double pack.
Oh
But
God, Lawnmower Man.
yeah, that's how that worked out. Next year, I'm going to try to be a little more organized. I was just watching movies that I had in my collection that I had not gotten to yet, and a lot of them were ones that JP had given me or got me for Christmas or something. So that's why they were like sequels to other films and just a random plethora of stuff. But it is what it is.
It is. Yeah, I usually start getting organized in the beginning, but then it's like, what the fuck am I gonna watch now?
Yeah.
The end of it. So, yeah, I got a movie set up for tomorrow. It'll be out by the time of this recording. I'm gonna be checking out Lovely Molly. It's a movie I haven't seen yet.
Oh, I've heard good things about that one. I've wanted to check that one out.
Yeah, Eduardo Sanchez. I actually like a lot of his movies.
Mm.
Does some good shit. Yeah. Oh yeah, you saw Blair Witch recently. How was that?
Oh yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. That's one thing that our theater, the waterfronts around here, the AMC theater that's there, they play classic movies every Wednesday night, and then of course when it gets closer to Halloween, they do more spooky movies, and they did American Werewolf in London 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at this point, and that was a pretty cool one to see. It was my first time watching. I liked that. But Blair Witch, that was awesome. Probably the most enjoyment I got out of the movie thus far. JP actually convinced them to play that one. Unfortunately, the turnout wasn't the best. I've seen way better turnouts at the theater, but there wasn't a ton of people there, and they didn't seem like mega fans or anything like that. It was hard to tell. Everyone was kind of silent, and sometimes you hear people kind of talking about the movies and stuff like that, but these people, you couldn't really judge if they'd seen the movie or not. But
Yeah.
for us though, it was a great experience. It makes the movie all the more creepy. And it's a movie I always went back and forth on whether or not I liked it or not. When I was a kid, I thought it was stupid. Besides like the last few minutes I thought were really creepy, and I feel like a lot of people can kind of agree on that. And I also thought the character of Heather was really annoying. I thought she said the F word way too much, but upon
What the fuck is that? What
upon
the fuck?
rewatch, I find she only really says the F word whenever like it's appropriate, when she's like freaking out and when they're all fighting. It's not nearly as bad as I had once thought, and there's a lot more creepy moments in the movie than I used to think as well. So I will say I am a Blair Witch fan these days. It just took getting a little bit older to kind of come around on it.
Yeah, it's grown on me immensely. I'm not gonna say like it's a I respect it, and I like a lot of found footage films and stuff in general more than I did when I first started watching them. Like, okay, it's just people fucking walking through the woods, okay, but then fucking, I kind of dug the aspect of it more, and I'm actually more of a fan of like the mockumentary style. Did you ever see any of those? Well, it's more like a documentary, but it's all fake. Or like interviews in between.
What would be some examples?
Like Lake Mongo.
No, I've never seen that one.
Oh, it's so good. I reviewed that on my 31 days. So good. It's kind of like there's a bunch of other ones. The Conspiracies one. The Bay. The Bay's pretty fucking rad.
Yeah, I don't really think I've seen, if I have seen a mockumentary, it's probably been just like one or something like that, but I can see where you're coming from, and I feel like you have to be in the mood for a found footage movie, because you have to be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm about to watch a bunch of really bad camera work and a bunch of people pretending that they're in real life and they're not trying to act or anything like that. But yeah, I've come around on found footage in general, like the Paranormal Activity movies. I used to watch those. Those were coming out like once a year when I was in middle school and high school, and I would kind of roll my eyes every time, but at the same time I would run to the theater and see them as they were coming out. It was one of those type of deal, and they're actually kind of creepy, and there's definitely a lot of other found footage films that I've found that I really enjoy, but I do feel like you have to be in the right mood to sit down and watch a movie with that kind of camera style, I guess.
Oh, especially the first Paranormal Activity. You're just watching fucking two people sleep in a bed for like half the movie.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the sequel to the first one. I know that might be sacrilege. I just like the sequel. I think it has more creepy moments in it.
See, for me, those movies all run together. I could not tell you which one is even which.
Yeah, they do meld because they're all connected somehow. It's weird. Like,
yeah, there's just like someone named Katie in every one. That's all I.
They made like a franchise out of those. It's crazy. It's like Saw.
It really is. It's like the next generation up. So, well, I guess they would kind of tie in together, but yeah, found footage, hit or miss.
Yeah, it's whatever. But anyways, guys, I think that this intro has gone on way too long because we got into our little rants, which is good. It's good stuff. But I think it's time we could discuss the film in hand. So why don't we play the amazing theme song to Spider Baby, and we'll be right back after these messages. We'll be right back. Ooh, spooky.
Dreams and bones and bats and bones and teenage monsters and haunted homes, a ghost on the stair, a vampire's bite. Better beware, there's a full moon tonight. Spiders creep and crawl, boys and ghouls having a ball. Frankenstein, Dracula, and even the mummy are sure to end up in somebody's tummy. Fresh rodent, some toadstools and weeds, and add an old owl and the young ones she breeds, mixing 7 legs from an 8-legged beast, and then you're all set for a cannibal feast. Sit round a fire with this cup of brew, a fiend and a werewolf on each side of you. This cannibal orgy is strange to behold, and the maddest story ever told.
And we are back after that fucking amazing song. Actually sung by, if Carly didn't know this, sung by the main star of the movie.
Oh, I did not know that. That is pretty cool, though.
Yes. So Carly, tell us what the movie we are doing today.
We are doing Spider Baby, or, the maddest story ever told, from the year 1967.
Yes. Its original title, actually, this movie has a weird history. Pretty much, it was actually shot and filmed in 1964, this film.
Oh, wow, okay.
And didn't come out till 68 when it was originally released. Like, its main release was 68.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a 4-year gap. This film's original title is actually Cannibal Orgy, or The Mad Story Ever Told, which is why you hear in the song, Cannibal Orgy. You know?
It all makes sense.
Yeah. And they changed the title to Spider Baby, and it's also been released as The Liver Eaters, I believe. That's another title it was released under, certain circles, like a double feature with a few other movies. But yeah, this film was actually the directorial debut of one of my favorite directors of all time, Jack Hill, who's an exploitation mastermind. Jack Hill has directed numerous exploitation movies in his career. This is probably his. Well, he's worked with Roger Corman a lot. He actually ghost directed a lot of Roger Corman movies like The Terror, and actually one of his other movies, which has a very interesting history, which was also released by Arrow, was Bloodbath, where Bloodbath was actually the third cut of a different movie that was cut like 400 times by different directors and used footage from like the original movie. And Bloodbath's really good. It's like a vampire film. It's probably the best version that's on, because actually on the Arrow release of Bloodbath, it comes with all 4 versions of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course, the second cut was done by Francis Ford Coppola. Then Bloodbath was made by Jack Hill, and then there was a TV version, I believe, by another director. It was weird because they used like the footage from the first movie. It was like a spy movie or something, and made like different movies out of that footage. It's weird. But yeah, Jack Hill after this movie went on to do some great exploitation classics. Of course, another film that he did is the street racing movie Pit Stop, where it's about like race cars driving illegal. It's kind of like, like in the pit stop area where it's like an 8-lane race. That's the way I would describe that one. Very of the time it came out, and then he went on to do Switchblade Sisters, which is a all-out fucking awesome exploitation classic in my opinion, where these girls fight other gangs and shit. It's pretty rad. Of course, he went into the blaxploitation route and directed Coffee, starring the awesome Pam Grier. Those are the few of the movies I know that probably highlight his career for me. He's done a bunch of women in prisons movies like The Big Birdcage and all its movies, and most of those star Pam Grier. So, and also one of the other actors in this movie, Mr. Sid Haig, who starred. Sid Haig actually was the reason why we did Spider Baby to begin with, because as you know, late September he passed away, and it was hard because me and Carly probably grew up with him more as Captain Spaulding in the House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. And Carly, you actually had a chance to meet Sid Haig in actually a convention too, right?
Yeah, and I didn't. It was, I don't know. He was at a convention. Him and Bill Moseley were both at it, and they did a Q&A together, which was pretty cool. I did sit and watch that, so I'm glad that I got to sit through that. And then whenever I came back out to the room where everyone was, signing the autographs, there was a huge line for Sid Haig for some reason. There was like no one in line for Bill Moseley, and so I kind of went up to Bill Moseley because I thought, I don't know, I got cold feet. I was like, Sid Haig is so popular, and Bill Moseley, like, no one's really at his table. So I went up to him, got a picture with him, and met with him. He was really nice, and I don't know. I was just like, I don't really need to meet Sid Haig, and wish I would have now. Really wish I would have, because he seems like he was a really nice guy based on what everyone was kind of posting about. I see a lot of people out there have met him and talked with him and say he's just like a really great guy and always willing to meet the fans. But I don't know, that was also one of the first conventions I'd ever gone to. It was my first time really meeting people, and I got really just kind of, overly nervous about stuff in general. But it is what it is. I'm glad that I was in the same room as him and I got to see him do a Q&A, though. That was pretty cool, pretty memorable.
Yeah, this is actually, I think, one of his first films too, and you could tell it because look how young he is in this.
I know, it's crazy, and I've never seen him in anything else, honestly, besides now this, and then the Rob Zombie films and his hilarious cameo in Hatchet 3. Other than that, I've not seen him in anything else.
Yeah, Sid Haig actually said in an interview once, there's only 3 directors that he would go back to work for if they ever ask him to. The first is, of course, Jack Hill, because he starred in the majority of Jack Hill's films. When we get more into them, you'll be like, look, there's Sid. Oh, yeah. Quentin Tarantino, he actually starred in a few of Tarantino's films, which are Jackie Brown, and he was also in Kill Bill Volume 2 in a small cameo role. And Rob Zombie, of course. Rob. So that's cool to know.
Yeah.
But this film also is kind of interesting because it has fantastically underrated and underappreciated performance by a horror legend, in my opinion, in Mr. Lon Chaney Jr., who plays Bruno. And of course, if we know Lon Chaney Jr., what movie would you say most people know Lon Chaney Jr. from?
I would say The Wolfman.
Yes. And also, this is actually a fun fact. Lon Chaney Jr. actually had the benefit of playing probably most of the Universal monsters during his run at Universal. He played the Frankenstein monster in Ghost of Frankenstein. And he also played kind of Dracula, but it wasn't really Dracula. He played Son of Dracula in the film Son of Dracula. I count it still. And and he also had a stint at playing the Mummy in a few of the later Mummy sequels. So yeah, he's probably one of the actors who plays all 4 of the original big 4 Universal monsters, which is cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm still kind of going through my Universal box set, and I haven't gotten to all of them yet. But I do think it's cool how they all kind of just, it's the same group of actors playing the same types of roles and stuff like that throughout the entire film franchise, or whatever you want to call those movies. I think that's pretty interesting, and also it's just weird thinking Lon Chaney Jr. and Sid Haig were in a movie together, because it's one of those things where you're like, whoa, I didn't think about the fact that these two were existing together at the same time and they could have done a movie together. It's weird.
Yeah, and there's a cool meta moment in this movie. I'll get to it when we get to it in the spoiler section, but it's pretty fucking cool and rad. And it's pretty awesome. There's a few other actors in this film. They're I'll mention not all the actors, but Beverly Washburn, who plays Elizabeth in the film. It's one of the 2 daughters. She's the one with the blonde hair and the big lips. She was a child star originally when she was a younger, and she was also in Pit Stop, the other Jack Hill film after this one. She's really good. And of course, Jill Banner, who's actually 17 at the time when this is made, and this is actually, I think, her first role ever.
Wow.
Plays Virginia, aka Spider Baby. And Sid Haig, of course, plays their brother Ralph. Carol Omar as Emily. Quinn K. Rediker as Peter. Mary Mitchell as Anne. And Carl Shanzar as Schockler. There we go. Yeah, his both his names are tongue twisters. His character's name and his fucking real name.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that's about it, you know. And of course, as like I said, I mentioned Lon Chaney Jr. actually sings the fucking theme song to this movie, which is pretty rad. I didn't know that when I was first seeing this film years ago,
Mhm.
and researching it and looking it up. I'm like, wow, that's fucking rad. That's pretty fucking awesome. But anyways, I think a lot of the people's wondering, Carly, and I'm wondering also, since this is a first time watch for you, what did you think of Spider Baby?
Um, yeah, I thought Spider Baby was pretty interesting to say the least. I think a good way to describe it, that something I kept thinking the whole time was it felt very ahead of its time with just some of the stuff it was doing, some of the horror elements, and some of the quirky elements as well. I didn't realize it was more of a black comedy horror than anything. I thought it was just going to be straight up horror, but I was fine with that. I think that all worked pretty well. This is a movie that I'd heard time and time again it's a really good one, and it's one that people should check out. One of those older movies that people just need to see. But I don't know, that title Spider Baby always kind of turned me off from it. I just thought it sounded stupid. I was like, what's this movie going to be about? Like killer spiders or something like that. But yeah, in general, I liked it. It was a very good psychological horror type of deal, and some of the aspects to it kind of make me think of other movies such as, I don't know, like TCM and other, I guess, in a way, Devil's Rejects, but maybe, not nearly as hardcore or anything like that. But just the whole dynamic of having this family who's all kind of equally mental, and but they all stick together and love each other. I've always really dug that in films. So yeah, in general, I thought this was solid. It was entertaining. One thing with older films is I find some of them just don't really capture you all that well. Like they just didn't know what they were doing back then to keep them interesting. And this one kind of just moves right along, and it doesn't really have any super boring moments or draggy moments or anything like that. So really enjoyed it for that element as well. So yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty solid.
Nice, nice. Some 5 for 5. Good.
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love this film. It's definitely, yeah, you're right. It's kind of weird that Sid Haig's in like 2 of these type of movies. Like he's in
Yeah,
House
really.
of a Thousand Corpses and this one, and this is definitely, you can see the Rob Zombie kind of was influenced by this, and
Hmm.
other film like TCM is a perfect example. It's another film that came out after this one, and no one really talks about this movie.
Hmm.
And yeah, this movie actually does have a lot of like influences from older films too, like the old Dark House. It's kind of influenced by that, and even like the poster, it was a play on words, of course. It said whatever happened to Spider Baby. It was supposed to be actually, ironically enough, the movie that we were supposed to do for this show is Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Hmm.
And they was kind of making fun of that. It was kind of a joke on that with the poster. Whatever happened to Spider Baby, So, ironically, it was connected in a way to the movie. We will still do that movie eventually, but it's just, at the time, I wanted to get something out for said, and
Hmm.
it kind of sucks because October is kind of sucked with some deaths. So I'll get more into that in our closing thoughts and shit like that too. But yeah, it's a great movie, and it's quirky and odd, and it's just, I love odd movies. I like it, they keep me interested. And,
Hmm.
some of the characters are fucking hilarious in this movie. They just crack me the fuck up with like their expressions and shit. And it has a cool like little score to it. The score is kind of haunting. And this ain't really a spoiler, but there's a scene later on where we see Virginia like just crawling on the rocks, and fucking you hear the music, and you're like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
Like weird shit like that, and you're like, and just the whole beginning scene, you're like, what the fuck did I just get myself into?
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, guys, I think that's all I could say without going to spoilers. So, quick recommend: do you think people should watch this during the October season, Carly?
I do, especially, if you want to get more in tune with older films, and if you do enjoy the movies like I do, where you're kind of revolving around this crazed family but family is family, so it doesn't matter if you're crazy or not, you're all gonna stick together. I'm a sucker for those types of movies, so I do recommend checking it out. It does honestly have some creepy elements to it as well, so it's got a nice little mix of everything going on, so definitely check this one out.
Sure. Awesome stuff. So we're going to play a little clip of actually the scene that I was just talking about, like, what the fuck did I just get into? And then we'll be right back, and we're going to get right into spoilers. So enjoy this, folks.
Anybody home? Anybody home? Please say yes, somebody's home. Hello in there. Hello? Hello?
I caught you. I caught a big fat bug right in my spider web. And now the spider gets to give the bug a big sting. Virginia, are you crazy? Now look what you've done. You're bad. Bad. Bruno's going to hate you.
And you heard it, folks. It's time for spoiler talk. And if you haven't seen Spider Baby at this moment, go out and check it out, because we're going to get right into it. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. 1, 2, 3, spoilers. You crack me up sometimes.
I try.
Yeah. Yeah, so the film opens up with, like we said, like this crazy like credit sequence where it's like all these like cartoon animation with like the Spider Baby theme, like we said, and then it cuts to like our narrator of the film, sort of, who we find out later is Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's opening up this book where he's talking about the Merrill syndrome. And yeah, he's like, I had a case of this once and I ran into this. And then it goes into the actual story in the group. And we see a poor African-American messenger dude on a bike driving. He's like, he stops at one house and he's like, do you know where the Merrill house is? And they're like, and they're just like, I'm getting the hell out of here. You don't talk about the Merrill house to me, motherfucker.
Basically.
So he ends up finding the Merrill house. He drives up to it. The gate's wide open, or it opens on its own. It's weird. It's like, ooh, like, maybe I shouldn't go in here.
Spooky.
He looks around, like the front of the porch of the house. Sticks his head through a window because there's an open window. And Carly, you tell him what happens next.
And you pretty much figure out why the movie's called Spider Baby, because this little, not really little, but I guess teenage girl, she kind of comes over to him in this very weird way and puts this like web stuff on him, and then she comes back with these knives, and I forget what she's saying exactly. It's some crazy stuff, but she like comes back over and starts basically, cutting him up. You don't see it, of course, because, back then you weren't going to really see anything, but you do see a piece of ear fall down, which was surprising to me, and I was like, oh, shit, this movie, that's when I first thought, like, this movie is a little bit, feels ahead of its time. You don't really see anything like this go down in a film, even though you don't really see a lot of gore, you don't see any gore or anything like that, but, you get the impression that she has, really kind of fucked this guy up, and then she cuts off his ear, and that is kind of your opening sequence, opening kill, if you will.
Yeah, pretty much the way that the character Virginia, that's her name, describes it. She's playing Spider, and the rope web is supposed to be like her webbing, and the two knives are supposed to be like the fangs of a spider going.
Oh yeah, she's like stinging them, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's pretty much what's going on with the setup of how she plays Spider. That's what she calls it too throughout the movie. And then we're introduced to our other sister Elizabeth, who's like, "Oh, they're gonna hate you." And then fucking she's like, "You hate people," and like Bruno said not to hate, And this is, of course, when we're introduced to our lovely chauffeur, Bruno, played by Lon Chaney Jr., as he's driving up. And he's like, and then Elizabeth, she's like, Virginia did something bad. Because, like, Virginia's just playing hopscotch at this time. That's how, she's like, I just killed somebody, now I'm going to play hopscotch or, like, jump rope. You know?
Typical, yeah.
He's like, why are you always blaming your sister, Elizabeth? And then he sees the fucking body hanging out the window. He's like, oh, fuck. His reactions are priceless in this movie. He's great.
Yeah. He has the best facial expressions. Even when he played the Wolfman, I really like that about him. He has this very just like, I'm doomed type of look to him.
It's great. And of course, then we're introduced to Ralph, because actually they went to take Ralph to the doctors recently. He had to go to the doctors to seek some treatment for undisclosed reasons at this time. But we pretty much figure out why later on in the movie. It's getting to that point, but we'll get more into that in a minute.
Yeah.
And then they're bickering, and of course then they find the letter that the poor mailman was just trying to do his fucking job. And they find out that they're going to have lawyers and their relatives come up, because they're going to be questioned about their estate pretty much, and the care of the kids are going to go into the hands of the relatives if they see fit, that they have to. So this is when we get to see the journey of course, our characters, Emily and Peter, who are brother and sister. They're related to the Marys. And Emily's just a bitch in this movie. She's just fucking uptight, And Peter's like, oh, yeah, this could be great. He's fucking weird in this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, this is great, like later on. Like his reactions are priceless. This cracked me up. But they're having a discussion about like the families and stuff and what's gonna go down. And then we see our fucking being picked up by Chaney Jr. actually. Our lawyer character, Shockler, who's smoking this giant stogie with his assistant Anne. And this is like this hilarious scene where he's like keeps tapping on the window to roll it down. And Chaney Jr. keeps going, you gotta roll it down yourself, buddy, Until Anne Yeah, until Anne actually fucking tells him he has to do it. He's like, oh, shit.
Just look like a jackass.
And, they have like, oh, thank God. They had a conversation about, oh, thanks for playing along with this. It might not end well for you, but we'll remember your years of service, at least. I'm like, oh, what a fucking typical lawyer character.
Yeah.
Of the time period, of course, but yeah. And, then all the families meet at the house. Actually, this is a funny scene where Emily's like, they're waiting, and Emily goes up to the house. And this is when she meets Ralph, and Ralph's like, oh, scares her. And she just runs back to the fucking car, like hell's chasing her and shit. Mm-hmm. Peter's like, oh, did you see a ghost?
I would have the same reaction, honestly.
Pretty much. Young Sid Haig's still scary Sid Haig.
Yeah, he's just all bald and no facial hair or anything. I don't know. It's a little spooky. I don't know.
Yeah, and crazy. Then of course, the family and Bruno and the lawyer and Anne come together. They go up to the house, introduce themselves to the kids. The kids are like, "Hi." They're all being polite, and this is when Peter asks Bruno, "So what's wrong with them?" And this is when they kind of say that about the syndrome that they have is kind of like a deteriorating of their disease due to like incest.
Yeah, he's like he pretty much straight up is like, well, they're all inbred.
Yeah, so that's even more fucked up.
Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah, and pretty much this disorder is making them more childlike in a way as they grow older, and
they're
it
just
gets worse.
regressing back into themselves in a way.
Yeah, and then it says they could mutate also, which is even more crazy.
So it's a whole lot of terrible, pretty much.
Yeah. And, they're like, maybe you should have them in a physical care. And it's like, no, I promised their father I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And Bruno keeps good on his promise. And they're like, yeah, we're going to stay for dinner. And it's like, oh, we don't have dinner. And then fucking... So they're like, maybe we could whip something up. So then comes the scene where I was talking about where Virginia's just crawling on the fucking ground. And then we see this fucking shot of a poor cat that's about to become rabbit later on by Sid. And fucking... he catches the cat, and we'll get more into that in a minute. And here comes the dinner party. Of course, for dinner is rabbit, quotation marks.
Sure.
And they're like, oh yeah, we don't eat meat. Why not? We're vegetarians. Why? And, he actually brings up a good point where if you eat, like, it's like a cub with like a, what is it, like if a cub's tamed until it eats meat for the first time?
Yeah.
And where, and then while he's saying this, that's when fucking, after they all got their meat, fucking Sid Haig gets the rest of the rabbit. I thought he was a vegetarian. Oh, he gets to eat what he kills. I'm like, oh.
He's just like destroying going to town on it.
Yeah, pretty much. And, and Emily's just all fucking grossed out and horrified at the whole fucking dinner. And, hey, you want some salad? And it's like, looks like straw. Yeah. What the fuck is that salad?
It was just, it just looks like weeds from the yard.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole dinner is just like revolting, and I like scenes like this. This is kind of like what I get at when I think TCM type stuff, where these people are just eating and they don't really know what they're eating, but you kind of get the idea that everything they're eating is probably gross and not something you want to be eating. And I enjoyed this scene for that.
Especially whatever fucking Virginia was eating, and that fucking seaweed shit with the fucking bugs or whatever the fuck.
That was actually like pretty gross. And then she's like offering it, and he's like, yeah, you don't want to eat that probably.
Yeah, Lon Chaney's great in this scene.
Yeah,
he's just great in this whole fucking movie. Let's just put that out there. Lon Chaney Jr. is actually a really good fucking actor. He just got a lot of like shitty horror roles, got typecast, and you can see like his range in this movie.
Yeah, he was great.
Like, and here comes the meta scene. This is like a pre-meta scene in this movie.
Yeah, I was surprised by this.
Yes, where Anne and Peter are talking about, oh, do you like horror movies like Dracula and Mummy and Frankenstein? And oh, I especially love the Wolfman. And then you just go to Lon Chaney Jr. There's a full moon tonight.
The whole tone just shifts from there.
Yeah, it was fucking great. I just love hearing fucking Lon Chaney Jr. say that line because he was the fucking Wolfman. That's fucking rad.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I was like, because she says like those 3 other characters, and I'm like, oh, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna go there? And then she says the Wolfman, and I'm like, wow, geez, it's such meta before meta was popular.
Exactly. It was pretty rad, and and then this was like, I think we're gonna stay in town tonight.
Yeah,
because they're all getting looks from the other family members, especially Sid Haig chewing.
Yeah. So gross.
And you're like, yeah, we're going to go stay at the end. And Bruno's like, yeah, you should go stay at the end. He agrees completely. And fucking, they end up going, they're like, you want to go to the bar? Yeah, could we get a sandwich too? Yeah, sure. And, of course, then Emily and Shockler stay the night. And Emily's decides to fucking do like a lingerie dance.
Yeah, because why not?
She's like, why not? And this is when we see fucking crazy scene here where Sid Haig's actually climbing down the fucking window. Mm-hmm. He actually did that.
Oh, really?
He was scared shitless.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking terrifying. Like, you can see, like, he had to, like, take breaks during that scene because he's like, I can't hold,
Yeah, makes sense.
And fucking while this is going on, Shockler's looking around. He actually discovers what we find out is the rest of the family, like Uncle Ned and the aunts, are down there still. Mm-hmm. And they're like in the caravans of like the basement. And this is when fucking Virginia and Emily go fucking apeshit and like, fucking kill him! They fucking murder the fuck out of him. And while this is going on, of course, fucking, this is actually sidetracked. This is when, after they murder him, this is when Bruno discovers that they killed him. And this is a great scene and very emotional. Because Bruno finds out what he has to fucking do, and we'll get more into it in, the climax of the movie. And, it's a very heartfelt scene where he's just talking to the 2 sisters. And he's like, I promised your daddy that I wouldn't let you, and you killed Dr. Schlocker, or whatever is Schlocker. But there'll be more Schlockers coming, and even more, and you won't be able to kill them all, because they'll overpower us. So what are you going to do, Bruno? I'm going to get a big toy. It's a surprise toy. It's going to be fucking great, this toy. And he's like,
foreshadowing.
Yeah. And, he's crying, and they're all crying at the same time. And they're like, I'll be right back. Don't go, Bruno. I'll be right back. I have to get the toy. So he leaves, and this is when fucking Emily actually hears Bruno's car going off. And that's when he looks through the window, and there's fucking Sid Haig, like, hey! And she fucking flips out, runs, sees fucking Emily and Virginia moving Schlocker's body to be fed to their relatives downstairs, of course. And they're like, get her! She's gonna tell. She's bad. She hates us. Mm-hmm. Chasing after them, and there's a big giant chase scene where Emily's running through like the estate, like woods and area. And unfortunately, she runs into Ralph. And I'm just gonna say it's suggested that he raped her.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it sounded like that because she comes back in the movie, so I think she was violated very well. So that's even more incest going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Yeah, incest all around. And while this is going on, Peter and Ann got really shit-faced, and they're like, we couldn't get a room, so we're just going to go back and stay there. Of course, they end up going back while Bruno's going to get the toy. Find out more about that in a minute. And pretty much, they end up going back to the house. Yeah, we need a room. And, Elizabeth's like, I'll take Anne to Daddy's room. Daddy's room's nice and comfy. And Virginia's like, you promised to play Spider with me. And so, okay, let's do it. Because they're all kind of tipsy and shit-faced still. So Elizabeth goes up with Anne to the Daddy's room. And, of course, Daddy's still in his bed as a skeleton.
Yeah, it's funny. When it shows that scene, I almost couldn't even see it. The skeleton, like, blended in with the bed almost. I was like, oh, no, it's a skull laying there. But it was just kind of an interesting shot. But that was even more disturbing stuff going on in this film.
Yeah, pre-TCM, they kept bodies,
Yeah.
So, yeah, TCM's even influenced. You're not original at all, Toby Hooper. Sorry, buddy. But, I'm just kidding. I love TCM. You know that. But anyways, then while this is going on, they're getting into Spider, the game Spider, where he's getting tied into a chair. And, do you love that lady, Anne? I do. Do you love me? And this is when it starts getting weird and more incestual.
Oh, yeah.
Where Virginia wants to bang his Uncle Peter, and and then fucking they end up playing Spider for a few minutes, and then she gets distracted before she's about to do her sting attack to help her, Elizabeth with Anne, and they're pretty much like wrestling with her and trying to saw her feet off and shit. And then this is when we find out Emily is still alive. She comes in the house because she's fucking crazy now, screaming, Ralph! Ralph! And she starts attacking Ralph. I think she pokes Ralph's eyes out, as suggested. They don't they don't show any blood, of course, but I think that's what happens. And then the uncle and aunt grab her, and she's fucking lunch meat now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when Bruno, of course, comes back, and he's like, I got the toy, children. Ralph's hurt. Ralph will be okay in just a few minutes. And he opens up his suitcase, and Carly, what is the toy?
It is dynamite.
Yep. So pretty much this is suggesting that what Bruno was saying earlier, the only way to protect the children is to kill the children.
Yeah, and which, once again, I feel like there's plenty of movies I've seen that are influenced by this whole aspect as well. One that I even saw recently was I believe it's the remake of The Bad Seed that kind of has elements to it that remind me of like what's going on in this film.
Yeah.
And it's always a sad plot, honestly, when you think about it. It's like you got these troubled kids, and want to take care of them, and you want to cover up everything they do so that they never look bad, because it's like they're innocent, kind of, because they're crazy and they're kids, but at the same time they do all this bad stuff, and it's just kind of a heartbreaking thing, because you just don't want to see them. Like, I understand the aspect of thinking, oh, there's nothing left I can do, because I don't want them to wind up in a home or something, so I'm just gonna destroy everything and end it all.
Yeah, it shows that Bruno really did love these kids.
Yeah.
This is why he had to make this ultimate decision, because he just been working with he's kind of like the Alfred of the Batman universe in this. It's kind of a jokingly thing, but it's sad, and you can see the emotion. And this is great for like facial expressions by Lon Chaney Jr. in these scenes too. And of course, he lights the dynamite, and while this is going on, Peter gets escaped from his spider trap, of course, grabs Anne in time, and gets out of the house. And then we get a reveal of what the fucking aunts and uncles look like, because they crawl out of their fucking catacomb room. And describe what they look like.
They look pretty spooky,
Yeah, they, like
to say the least.
one of them kind of looked like a wolf, and one of them looked like a mongoloid. I'm like,
Yeah, they were like really screwy looking, and which I dug. I dug it.
yeah, I dug it too. It's just weird and fucking fucked up at the same time.
Yeah,
And I like Bruno's reaction, like he shrugs his shoulders, like, huh?
it happens.
Yeah. And of course, then the whole house explodes and they all die. And this is when we go back to like Peter narrating. He's like, "I got the family fortune," and you know, some good did come out of it. I did meet my wife, Anne, and they show the picture of the family, and he ends it with saying like the Merrill syndrome ended with their branch of that family, and I don't think it was any near my branch. But then we have a precursor scene where we meet Peter's young daughter, Jessica, who shockingly kind of looks a little bit like Virginia.
Yeah, strange.
And then she asks her mom if she could go outside and play, and her mom's like, "Yeah, you can go outside," just before it rains again. Then we see her go outside, and she see her smiling at something. And we realize what it is, and what is it, Carly?
It is a spider. Dun dun dun.
The end? Question mark. Roll credits.
Yeah. Good old question mark. I love it.
What did you think of that ending?
I liked it. I mean, it's like, are you setting up for a sequel, or what are you doing there? But I liked it because you got the smug Peter guy. He's like, oh, everything turned out fine. I'm rich. I got the wife. I got the beautiful daughter. And then you're thinking, oh, well, it looks like your kid might actually turn out to be crazy too. Or will they? Who knows?
Yeah, it's like a open-ended ending where, is she gonna go crazy? Is it like, because these kind of diseases are hereditary in a sense.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just more progressive in that family because of all the fucking incest going on more in that side of the family. But it doesn't mean that your kids and your other side could not get it either.
Yeah.
You might just miss a generation.
Mm-hmm. But
It's like any disease anyways, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider Baby, fucking fun, fast-paced fucking conversation. And you know, this film's good because it's not even like a long film too. Like it only runs like an hour and 20 minutes, 22 tops. Just flies by and you're just there. Like our conversation, it was pretty fast on it, and you know, it just flies by. And we did maybe skip a few parts because I did remember maybe they did reveal the skeleton dad maybe in another scene before Anne discovered it, but it kind of jars together after a while because this movie just moves at a fast pace.
Yeah, which, like I said earlier, that's kind of what I like about it. It's very just to the point. It doesn't drag or anything like that. The only scenes that really feel a little bit slowed down is when they're kind of investigating the house. But even then, I mean, you get different reveals and stuff going on there, and then stuff kind of escalates really quickly from there as well. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, sometimes in these older films, you get a little bit bored. They tend to play things out a little bit too long or longer than they have to. And with this movie, it doesn't really, you don't really get that sense of, oh my God, I can't wait for this to end or anything like that. So I'd say it's the appropriate length, and it kind of got its story across really well.
Nice. Are you excited to check out more Jack Hill films in the future, Carly?
I am, yes. I'm sure they just get better and more interesting.
Yeah, it depends because he did like a lot of one subgenre or two at one point with the women in prison stuff. But even those are fun. But then he mixed it with Coffee and Switchblade Sisters. Those are two different styles of the subgenres and shit. So yeah, there's a lot of fun that we had, and yeah, I'm excited to check out a few more of his movies and more. It's been a while since I've seen a few of the other ones I mentioned. Besides Coffee, that's probably the only one I watched a few times lately. But yeah, and if you haven't picked up Spider Baby yet, get the Blu-ray from Arrow Video. It's stacked. with special features, if you are a fan of those. Like there's interviews like Joe Dante on here, and Sid Haig, of course, Jack Hill, numerous interviews, and highly recommendable. And the transfer looks beautiful that Arrow did.
Nice.
Which they usually do great work, especially for these genre films that we love. But we have one more section of this show before we get out of here, Carly, and we have some listener feedback. So I'm going to play that little setup to the dinner table scene that we talked about earlier, because couldn't really find any music, so it plays a few scenes here and there of the movie. But we have two. I have two. Actually, it's hilarious. The music that I picked is the same song, but one's a cover version.
Oh God.
Yeah, so we got that to look forward to for the end track.
Yay.
But yeah, we'll take a little break and play this little clip here, and then we'll come back with listener feedback.
Are you a horror film fan, Miss Morse?
Oh, yes, I love it. Dracula, Frankenstein.
And The Mummy?
Oh, The Mummy. I love The Mummy. Oh, and The Wolfman. Ah!
There's going to be a full moon tonight. There's an inn in the village.
As I see it, there are only 2 rooms anyway. Peter, if you took the car, do you think you could find lodgings for Miss Morris?
Yeah, I saw a motel coming in, yeah.
Just be sure you have her back on time, young man.
Children, some of our guests are going to stay the night. Would you come help me prepare the rooms?
Yes, Bruno. Spider!
Got it.
It's spiders.
We have lots of spiders. Do you like spiders, Mr. Howe?
Oh, sure, Virginia. I love spiders.
Do you? Would you like to play spider with me?
Virginia.
Sure. I'll play spider with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the listener feedback section. Everybody do the dubstep. No, I'm just kidding. I'm goofy this episode, guys. And you're supposed to say, oh, you, when are you not goofy?
Oh, you, when are you not goofy? Lord. Moving right along.
Moving right along. Yeah, we got our favorite number 2 listener feedback this episode. We have another audio one from the homie Heather, which is awesome and pretty awesome. Can't wait to play this right now. So, you ready to listen to this, Carly?
I am.
All right, let me make sure my volume's up and press play. Here is Heather.
Hi, Derek and Carly, and this is my review for Spider Baby. I have to say that since doing reviews for you guys, I have been privileged to see lots of different movies. Black and white movies have never been something I've really been into or followed. I realize I've seen more than I thought about when you asked for our top 3 horror movies that are in black and white, or movies for Halloween that we like to watch around this time. So I'll just give a brief synopsis of Spider Baby. As always, whenever I watch a movie that Derek recommends, in the first 10 minutes, I wonder what I got myself into. But as the movie continued, I was quite impressed. The plot moves along quite quickly. The acting in it is actually quite good from the 3 children, one played by Sid Haig, which was great. I haven't honestly seen him in a lot of other things, so I'm not a huge Sid Haig fan. Not a popular opinion, just I haven't seen a lot with him in it, so it was great to see him in this, especially a younger version of him. The 2 sisters were very well acted, very well done. the people that show up to take the inheritance, you automatically didn't like the aunt. The lawyer seemed shady, and of course the gentleman, I can't remember his name now, but the other cousin definitely came across as the protagonist, and you felt empathy for him. And so, not Bruno, I guess Peter. So I thought that was excellent. Bruno was great. Very, very good special effects for the time. The kill scene at the beginning with the messenger who gets in the spider web, really well done. Very much, I thought it was funny that they went out drinking and trying to find a hotel as they're driving around and there's no vacancies. And of course they need to go back up to the house where the children are that have regressed back to this infantile state, and they become cannibalistic. So I thought the whole movie itself was really well done. I enjoyed the ending. I liked how they kind of trailed off with, could this be continuing? Could it not? I thought it was really well done for a black and white film. And I think with black and white films, especially back then, you're relying a lot more on story and character development and not as much on special effects. So I really enjoyed it for that. So for my top 3 black and white movies, when I was younger, I watched a lot of Abbott and Costello. And I really enjoyed Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, as well as Meet Dracula, and probably Psycho. The original Psycho would be up there as well. I think those movies are, they're timeless classics, and yet again, they're black and white, and the acting and the practical special effects make them really interesting to listen to. So I hope you guys have enjoyed doing this episode, and I look forward to the one that you'll be doing next month. Take care. Bye.
Nice.
Yeah. Another well-said review from Miss Heather.
Yeah, pretty awesome. She pretty much agreed with a lot of the stuff that we said in our review.
Yeah, and I'm glad she's enjoying all the movies that we've been reviewing on here as well, and allowing herself to watch some more stuff.
And I know she's excited for next month.
Yeah.
We'll get more into that in a minute. But we also have another one from Sam Edwards. It's been a while, Sam. And he sent me a paragraph one.
Oh, man.
So, hey there. Of course, wait, let me start this over again. Psychotic Cinema, aka Sam. Hey there, Sam here. You could have said, hey there. I know it's you, Sam. I always comment on Sam stuff. Shooting you all a brief review for the magnificent and unique Spider Baby. All that I can say is I adore this film. The set pieces in this film are absolutely amazing. It really gives off the old dark house vibe, despite this film being a couple of decades past that genre. The acting is great, carried by the always magnificent Lon Chaney Jr., but he wasn't the only star. The married children all were great. The actors are incredibly convincing as being in a childlike state of mind, and the narrator cousin did his job well. I feel as if the film being shot in black and white was a great decision. To me, it really adds to the atmosphere of the overall product, allowing those darker corners and pits to appear even darker, obscuring what may lurk in them. If I had one complaint about the film, I'd probably say how odd the score is. It's not bad, just different, which may have been what they were going for. Overall, I think it's a fantastic film. One of the most important black and white films in the genre, influencing greats such as The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and House of a Thousand Corpses. 9.5 out of 10. That's what Sam gave it. And Sam also wrote down his 3 choices for black and white, because we did ask that about the black and white films. Mm-hmm. For Halloween, I would watch Black Sunday, House on Haunted Hill, and of course Spider Baby. But this list is pretty expansive. There are so many greats, and that's all he wrote.
All right. Pretty good review as well there.
Nice. And it's a good list there, Sam. Have you seen you've seen Spider Baby, but have you seen the other 2 choices? Or the ones that Heather talked about either?
Abbott and Costello, I saw Meet Frankenstein, and I do like that film. It's another, that quirky comedy back then. It's not like it makes me laugh out loud or anything like that, but it's a fun thing to watch. So I do enjoy that. House on Haunted Hill, I like that one. I would put that on my list, honestly, as a favorite because it's one of those, like, it's another one that kind of gets to the point of stuff, and it's actually really creepy as well. Psycho, of course, I love Psycho. That's an obvious classic right there. What was the other?
Black Sunday.
Black Sunday. I have not seen Black Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That is what I hear.
But since we are having a little fun with this, Carly, we actually decided to make our own top 3. Do you got those in handy?
I do, yes. So
go on, hit us off with yours first.
All right, well, pretty much gave it away, but the number 3, I would have House on Haunted Hill as, I would say, my number 3 because I think it's just really creepy even to this day. It's got one of the creepiest moments in it that I've seen, honestly. Other than that, there's some other just eerie aspects to it as well, and I've always really enjoyed the whole storyline. My grandma used to tell me, I would ask her to tell me a scary story when I was little. My grandma on my dad's side, and it would be late at night, and she would always tell a story like, oh, these people went to this mansion and they were offered $10 million or $1,000 to stay overnight, and then I realized I watched this movie later in life and thought, oh, that's probably where she came up with that. But so I always liked the story. Then I guess number 2, honestly, some people might not see it as 100% horror, but IMDb has it listed as horror, so I'm going with it, and that is the original King Kong movie from, of course, 1933. Really like that one. I always found that to be pretty creepy. I got to see that one on the big screen actually earlier this year, and I just thought it was fantastic. It's one of those ones that has aged pretty, like I said, fantastic for the time period, and the look of King Kong I think is great. I think it's scary. I think it's effective. Obviously they use sort of the stop motion effects, but it comes off as scary, honestly. It's a little unsettling to watch. Some of it might be a little goofy, but other than that, I think the story with that one is great, and it's another one that moves pretty fast. And then lastly, of course, would be Psycho. Psycho, it's just classic horror. That one, have no real problems with that. I will say there are a few moments in Psycho that I could kind of do without, kind of like the beginning part with Marion and her boyfriend in the hotel. Just don't think it's that entertaining, and then the ending when the dude explains why Norman is how he is. Back in the day, I could see why that was needed, but when you watch the movie a million times like I have, you really don't need it. But other than that, I think that's a great movie, and I would have loved to be alive when that film first came out to see a first-time reaction with it in the theater. But yeah, that's kind of my over-the-top list there.
I was in the shower scene. Imagine seeing that for the first time ever.
What's that?
Imagine seeing that for the first time ever.
I know, that would be... I wish I could have been alive at the time. I'm trying to think, when I was a kid, I feel like I might have already... My mom used to, spoil the heck out of movies for me when I was a kid, and I think it's so I wouldn't get too scared, so I feel like she kind of told me how that movie ended. But, yeah, that would have been fantastic to actually see that in the theater with everyone back in the 60s and see how scared everyone was.
Yeah, because you hear the rumors, everyone, fucking is running out the fucking theaters and shit.
Yeah, I'm sure it was one of the most traumatizing films of the time.
Plus, now we have that fucking scene spoiled for us for all the documentaries and shit.
Yeah, true.
Before we even see it, this would be so much great if we didn't know.
It's impossible to avoid.
Yeah. But I'll give you my 3 off the top of my head. And I also have a honorable mention, but I'll leave that one at the end. Of course, number 1, Black Sunday, Mario Bava classic. atmosphere at its finest. Barbara Steele is amazing in that film. If you like witchcraft films, Black Sunday is the essential witch film for me. It's pretty fucking rad. Great atmosphere and pretty fucked up beginning too in that one. Yeah, we don't think we're not covering that in the future, Carly.
I assumed it was coming.
Future October show for sure. Then of course, Eyes Without a Face, which is a French film. Again, atmosphere, and that's a fucked up story because it's about this doctor who wants to find the face for his daughter who has a face issue. And yeah, so you see like actual faces getting cut off people and shit, and it's pretty rad for the time period. Like 64, I think that came out too. And then of course, Psycho, classic, fucking Alfred Hitchcock. What can you say? It hasn't been said already about Psycho. It's pretty awesome with a fantastic performance by Anthony Perkins.
Oh yeah.
You just have that and you're good to go. And actually, this is weird. My honorable mention is actually a film from a few years ago. And it's a film I reviewed on my 31 Days of Horror recently. And that is The Eyes of My Mother. Pretty fucking rad, all shot in black and white. Pretty awesome. And because the director even himself said he wanted to get like that old school feel of like films from the time period that like Spider Baby came out in. And yeah, it's pretty rad and fucked up. That movie is fucked up.
Yeah, I gotta check that one out.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because actually the director's directing. He directed the new Grudge film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and and there's certain scenes of that movie. I'm like, yeah, that's a good choice because you hear, you'll see what I mean when you see it. I don't want to spoil anything for you since you haven't seen it. Go on that one blind.
All right.
Don't read anything on that one.
All right.
But that's my top 3 in an honorable mention.
Nice. Very nice.
So, Carly, could you tell the listeners what we are doing in November?
All right. Well, in November we are doing we're changing up a little bit and doing a fantasy type of film, and that is going to be a film called Legend.
Yes.
From I forget what year it came out.
I think it's 86 or 85.
All right. But yeah, yeah, I was just gonna say like, yeah, you asked me what genre we should do next, and I thought, oh, we haven't really gotten into this really too much, and I said fantasy, and I thought that's kind of a genre I don't really watch a whole lot of movies with. I know that's one of those ones where there's plenty of subgenres and different intertwined stuff that can go with that, but I figured it would be kind of interesting to just seek something out and watch it since I'm not too familiar with the genre as a whole.
Yeah, and we're actually doing a little something different with the format of this show too. For listener feedback for this episode, we're actually going to be kind of covering both versions of the film. Because, of course, the theatrical version is like 80 minutes, something like that, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen Legend, the theatrical version, and it actually has a different score. The score of the theatrical cut's done by Tangerine Dream, and of course then they released the director's cut, which is, I think, added like 20 minutes to it, and plus it has the original score done by Jerry Goldsmith. So there's a few differences, and the way I think we were going to do it, we're going to do a rundown of the theatrical version, then we'll talk about certain scenes that are different or changed or maybe extended in the director's cut to make it. Then we'll be like still talking about the same plot, but just doing a little add different tidbits here and there. And we're going to ask you listeners to give your listener feedback on Legend and tell us which version of the film you prefer and what score also. Because there's certain aspects of both scores that I do like. But I'll get into that when we do fucking cover it. And as always, we might have a special guest, knock on wood, Our guest record hasn't been fucking great, really. Well, we only tried to have one, and
yeah, we failed.
But,
or they failed us.
Yeah, they failed. Brandon fucking feels everyone. He's fucking messaging gifts in every chat, waking me up at fucking 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I feel your pain. He woke me up at like 7 a.m. the other day, and it was my day off, and I was like, "F you, Brandon. You never sleeping asshole."
I saw that and I laughed, and I was like, "This."
I've been like doing that a lot lately. I'm just like, Brandon, shh, stop.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass. but anyways, we're gonna get out of here, folks, because I gotta get ready to work, and Carly's gotta do some movie watching because she loves movies.
Yes, priorities, people.
But she loves me more. That's why she did this first.
Exactly.
And I love her because she's awesome.
Oh, you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know, it's all true. You know that.
Shucks. Well, it's an honor, as always, to do the show with you, and I'm excited for our future endeavors.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. We should mention this before we get out of here. In December, we're actually doing a viewer's choice.
Oh yes.
Show, and we actually have posts that make suggestions. By the time this episode goes up, that's when I will make the poll. So, I'll wait like a day after the episode goes up and then make the poll. So if you hear this by the end of it, check out the posts and post them down. And if you see any film that's already on there, don't post it again. Just post a different film. Because
common sense.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Because the way we're going to do it is there's going to be two different polls. The first poll will be all the films where you get to pick 3 of you that you want to go through, and the top 3 go into the second poll where you're going to only pick one, and that will be the movie we cover on December's show, and we'll announce that movie on November episode after we do everything and get to the nitty-gritty of the show. But yeah, the next show might be a big one, and we might have to, because we got to figure out the schedules of all the people that are participating. And plus, there's a lot to dig into that, because Ridley Scott is a director that we have to get into, and it's a interesting film to get to because it's actually one of his favorite movies that he made.
Oh, nice.
But it got butchered from his aspect of it, from the theatrical cut. So it should be just curious to see what we think of that one. So, yeah, we're going to get out of here. And, of course, as I said before, we're going to end the show with actually the same song we began the show with the fucking the cover of the theme song, The Spider Baby, done by Fantamos off their album Director's Cut, it's actually a very cool fucking album if you haven't heard it. They do a bunch of different covers of theme songs, like Spider Baby. They actually do the theme song to Rosemary's Baby. It's pretty rad. Rad. So, yeah, we're going to get out of here because we're going to do this, and we'll see you next episode. So, check us out, peeps. Peace out.
Peace.
Screams and moans, bats and bones, and teenage monsters in haunted homes. The ghost on the stair, the vampire's bite. Better beware, there's a full moon tonight. Dracula and even the mummy are sure to end up in someone's tummy. Take a fresh rodent, some toast and weeds, and add an old owl and the young one she breeds. Mix in 7 legs of an 8-legged beast, then you're all set for a cannibal